Hello, everybody, KRUI listeners. This is KRUI 89.7. My name is JT Ward from It's a Date with JT, John, and Max. Today we have a very special guest here in Iowa City with us, Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson is in town, debuting in America for his film Lost in London. Woody, how's the city been treating you so far?
Wicked, really cool. I've met a lot of fun people, and I hate to leave it, actually. I wish I'd have, didn't have such a short stay.
Well,
that
we'd
was a
love to have
mistake.
you longer, yeah.
But it's nice to be here, JT. Thank you for having me.
Of course, Woody. Well, we're happy to have you here. Anything interesting that you've seen in the city so far? What's been the vibe? What's the vibe been like?
Well, I went over and saw, I was a Sigma Chi in college, and so I went over, saw those guys, and I felt kind of bad for them being on probation. But I thought they had a nice setup there right by the river. I wished I'd had that when I was in college.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Hanover College in Hanover, Indiana, the Harvard of the Midwest.
Oh yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, Hanover. Oh, that's a good name for it. If it's in the city, you might as well call it that, huh?
Yeah.
So speaking of kind of where you're coming from in Hanover, you're from Texas, correct?
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in was it Midtown, Texas?
Well, no, I was born in Midland, but I really grew up in a suburb of Houston called Bel Air.
Okay. Not the one in California, though, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was a marked difference from the one in California.
Sure.
And now it's actually a little bit hoity-toity, but at the time it was, just a, mid to low income area. And what was it like? It's just, it was a suburb of Houston, so, not the most beautiful place, but on the other hand, there was a lot of good people, and there are a lot of really wonderful people in Houston. Friendly gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on my show, It's a Date with my two pals. One question we always ask our guests is, in elementary, middle, or high school, was there any time that you were sent to the principal's office as a count of your do not goodness, I suppose?
Well, I did end up at the principal's office on more than one occasion, of course. But I remember one time, one of the first times I remember, because see, I had some trouble in school, so I went to a private school for a while, got a scholarship or I wouldn't have been able to go, but and it was called Briarwood. And then when I got out of Briarwood, I went into Condon Elementary School, which was 6th grade. And so that was my first chance to get sent to like a real principal's office. And that was, I remember some guy was bothering this girl and messing with her. And I told him to stop. He didn't stop. So he and I got into a fight, and then the next thing you know, I'm at the principal's office. Sure. And spent a good part of the day there. Another time, I was in class, and this was also at this Condon Elementary. This is my first real forays into heading down to the principal's office, and we had gone to the opera. And so, afterward, the teacher, who I really loathed, she's dead now, so it doesn't matter. But Mrs. Schmidt, I guess I wished she was dead then, but she's dead now. And anyway, she was asking the class, what did you think of the opera? And everybody's extolling the virtues of the performance and how beautiful and then she gets to me, and I said, I thought it was really boring. Really boring.
Sure.
Sent me down to the principal's office.
Just for that?
Just for that.
Jeez.
Another time she sent me down to the principal's office, I was writing poetry in her class, and my mom came, and she just didn't like me, and I didn't like her, let's be honest. But my mom came, and she said to her, "You should be so lucky to have children writing poetry in your class." And I was so psyched that she was my mom. She was really cool about it.
So did you and your mom get sent to the principal's office then?
Yeah, my mom was pretty tough. I don't know if she would have sent her to the principal's office.
Very cool.
I was a pushover, though.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So I'm sure that you get this question a lot in interviews, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you it anyway. How did you get into acting?
Well, geez, I just went over to talk to some of the theater people, and I told this story. So if any of them are listening, I feel bad about repeating it. But I was in the library, and I sent away and got this album called Elvis's Golden Oldies, right? Got it in the mail back when they had albums, and I was just like, started singing along with it. So I got to where I had a little bit of an Elvis impersonation, and so some of my buddies from the football team are telling me to do my Elvis. I says, man, I can't do that. The library's packed. And it's right before Christmas, so it's very festive, but it's still, not that festive.
Sure.
And they say, well, no, you just do it quiet. I says, I can't do it quiet. It's impossible. Come on, man. Well, they finally convinced me, and I start, oh, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting wild as a bug. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Start singing. Pretty soon, everybody's just gathering around, clapping, like they're gathering around, even the librarian. And
well,
just
come on, guys. You gotta
give
get a round of applause.
No, I'm not expecting that. But thank you. There was an odd silence. So then it got more and more, heated in the song. The song builds, and I got up on the table, and then right at the end of it, everybody clapped, and this girl, Robin Rogers, came over and said hi. She's dating the handsome, best athlete in the school. Like, she's way above my station. She's like, I'm the vice president of the drama club. Why don't you come down and try out for a play? I said, by golly, I will come down and try out for a play. And then the next year, I started doing theater, and she started being my girlfriend. And
so now you're the best athlete in the school.
Well, I felt like it for a little while.
Sure.
And that's how I started doing theater. The first play we did was 6 Characters in Search of an Author, Pirandello. And man, was that a lousy performance. But they cut out the entire second act, and at the end they had to be cued to clap, kind of like just now. And yeah, so it was not a great start, but yeah, it kept getting better.
Sure. So last night you debuted your film Lost in London. Great film, by the way. I really enjoyed the cinematography, and I thought it was funny for the most part, and which I think that was what you were going for. But also, how you got your start in acting. How did you get your start in comedy?
Well, I guess I was really more, when I was in college, I did better with comedic pieces, and so I always had more of a fondness for it. But really, my first job was as an understudy for a Neil Simon play, and so that was a comedy. So right away, that was just where I was, I guess, excelling. Mm. And then I did a comedy with Goldie Hawn to take a sabbatical from that. And then when I was just about to go back to do the play, where I was actually going to perform as opposed to understudy, some friend of mine from Hanover College, Leo Jeter, said to me, hey, they got this show, and the part is called Woody, and it's a show called Cheers, and you ought to go audition for it.
What's Cheers?
It's before your time. But anyway, so I went down and auditioned for Cheers, and it went kind of great, which which was odd because they'd pretty much cast the part. And so the lady who was, Laurie Openden, who was the casting person, then brought me in to meet the other guys. And as I walked through the door, because we went through a few doors down a hallway, I didn't know we were now going into the door where all of the people were, the creators of Cheers and the writers and everybody. And I was a little stopped up, so I was blowing my nose as I went into the door, and they all burst out laughing. And Jimmy Burrows, the director, said, "I knew you had it then."
When you were blowing your nose.
Yeah, like before I said anything.
The snot of a superstar.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one more question, then we're going to kind of open it up to the panel, I suppose is what we can call it. Lost in London, as you said, was kind of one of the worst nights of your life, and it just kind of nothing was clicking and everything seemed to be going wrong. But is there a time that you can remember something like a best night of your life, or like a really great memory that you cherish?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of, actually, for a guy who, people come up to me all the time and they're like, "Remember that night with the thing and the this and that?" It sounds like the most amazing night, and I have no recollection whatsoever. And that's a problem. But, so there's a lot of nights that I don't remember that I should. But I do remember having like one of the greatest nights of my life I was with Javier Bardem in Madrid, and we went out, and I had just gotten into what do you call it, the form of dance they have there. It starts with an F.
Flamenco.
Huh? Flamenco. Yeah, just gotten into flamenco, and we saw a show that it rates as one of the greatest single performances I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of different types of performances. Where the guy did like 8 encores, and then we just went to all these great bars, and he was preparing to do a James Bond movie, and he was as funny as anyone I've ever seen. I mean, it's hard to say this night or that night, but certainly what I should have said is each of my children's birth.
That's what I was waiting for.
Those were the moments that stay with me.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and open it up for a couple of questions from our panel, the audience, right behind mic 3. Camden, can you go ahead and... whoever has one can go ahead and step up. If not, I can ask more.
Nobody's stepping up.
Well, I can go before then if there's a question. Quick question for you. You have a chance to give me some credibility here. My name is Camden. I'm actually from California. I've been in the industry for a little bit. James Burrows, who was the creator of Cheers, was actually my director in a sitcom that I was on. I want to know, a lot of the people in Iowa don't believe it when I say that this place is better than Southern California. How do you think Southern California matches up with Iowa City?
Well, I've just been here a very short time, but I love it here. And when the sun came out, I loved it more. I loved the view with the river there, and so it's hard to gauge because in Southern California, I don't know. You know how it is. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of smog. It's nice when you get out to the beach, but yeah, I'd say this place stacks up pretty well. But now you're saying you worked with Jimmy Burrows. What was this sitcom you worked on?
It was a pilot called Romantically Challenged. It starred Alyssa Milano. I felt it was actually recasted, then picked up for a season. I was on ABC, so nothing you would know.
They recast your part.
They did recast my part. They thought Alyssa Milano looked too young to have a kid my age, so. Which is believable, because
That's what they told you.
that's what they told me.
That's
They
what they
that
told
wasn't
you.
good enough. That's
They
the real
always
thing.
try
I'm
to
not
give
good
you
enough.
something.
That's why I'm not in acting anymore. That's why I'm behind. Cameras don't belong on my face.
That's good. Yeah.
Anybody else stepping up?
Face for radio.
So just kind of talking about your recent Oscar nomination, how did you find out? Did you find out when media outlets found out, or did they call you ahead of time, or how did that whole process work?
No, it wasn't that. I just, I had a busy day that day, so I just looked at my I woke up, looked at my device to see what the time was, because I knew I had to get out early. And then I look at it, and it's like, what are all these people? I got so many messages. Oh, okay.
Light bulb goes on.
I was wondering, why are people congratulating me? What did I do? I didn't even. So yeah, that was kind of fun. And you know, it's a cool thing because it's nice to be. The first time I got nominated, and I guess it was for a Golden Globe or something. And I went down there, and had my speech all worked out, and then of course they called someone else's name, and I was really maudlin, and I'm going home, you know. Like everyone else is still partying, you know, my wife and friends, and they're all, and I'm going home, you know. I just couldn't have a good time. And then by the time it came around, then this was for Larry Flint. Then came around to the Oscars, I knew I was going to lose, and I'm like, I'm going to have a blast, and I did. And so that's really the state of affairs now. I know I'm going to lose. I know Sam Rockwell will win, which I want him to, and I love him. So all I'm going to do is go and have a great time, and luckily, you know, to make peace with that ahead of time is really the trick you need for anyone aspiring to learn what to do when you go on an award show. Yeah.
So what's been your favorite film or project that you've been a part of?
Well, that'd be really hard to say. There's so many that I really loved. I thought that The Messenger was one of, even though it is a dramatic film, that was one of my favorite experiences. That whole group is amazing. But in terms of just laughing a lot, why am I so far away from this thing? Here we go. But in terms of just laughing all day, you know, more recently, like with the Hunger Games and the Now You See Me and Zombieland, those have all been, oh my God, just so much laughter. So it's nice when you can go to work and laugh all day. So.
Kind of speaking off what you were saying earlier, how was the cast for 3 Billboards? What was it like working with everyone?
Oh, they were great, just amazing. And we started in Asheville, North Carolina, a beautiful place, which I really love. Yeah, you know, we came together, rehearsed, worked on it. I don't know how to respond to that. Everybody was great. I love those guys, and we've now gotten to be together a lot. We were all just together on Sunday. You know, it's a very fun group.
So growing up, did you always know that, like, did you always feel that you were going to make it big in acting, or did you ever have any moments of doubt?
Well, I did think that I would make it. I think there's probably almost nobody who makes it who doesn't think they're going to make it and believe it wholeheartedly. And doubt really does not factor into the equation. Not to say that it doesn't come up sometimes, but it doesn't get much, much play. Because I really feel like if you doubt yourself or your talent or your abilities or your future, you know, and you're kind of already in a bad situation. Probably not going to succeed. And so that's why when I hear people say, oh man, I had no idea, I didn't want to become an actor, I just happened to, I'm like, no way. It never happens that way. You know, people really do, you got to be focused and driven and okay to not let rejection cripple you. That's what I should have said to those theater guys. I was trying to because you're going to get rejected, you know, you just do. Just inevitable.
I have another question, Woody. If you were to put out your phone right now and we were to scroll through your music playlist, what would we find?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, what did I do with it? Oh, it's here. Well, I haven't got that all worked out on my phone. That's really a bad thing. But yeah, I'm still a little old-fashioned about how I do the music. But I love Alt J. I love the Beatles. I love U2, Peter Gabriel. I don't know. I just think I'm forgetting a lot of things, but
What was it like being
Michael Franti?
What was it like being in U2's music video? I can't remember the song, but you were in a music video, right, with them?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, they weren't there physically. We shot that out in California. Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Is Bono cool in person?
Oh yeah, he's one of the coolest guys I've ever known.
Does he
Just
wear those
amazing.
sunglasses all the time?
Does he have those sunglasses on
He
all the
wears
time?
them. He wears them a good bit. Which I tried to tell him. Those actually ultimately, interestingly, sun energy is kind of what we run off of, whether it be through our food or even directly from sunlight. But a lot of that comes through the eyes. So if you constantly got your eyes shielded from the sun, it can be detrimental to your eyes. I don't know why I'm telling him that. My eyes are messed up,
Well, unfortunately, we're almost out of time, but one more thing to ask you. It's not really a question, it's more of a request. Owen Wilson was in Lost in London. He had a great performance. You guys are great friends, not best friends, I suppose, as it was in the end credits scene, but...
Well, he's my best friend.
Yeah, but...
It doesn't work the other way.
But him with Wes. I have to ask you, do you have a good Owen Wilson impression?
Well, I don't know. I can't. What's he say?
Wow.
How you doing? How you doing? Wow. I never tried to. When you're around them, you just kind of start talking like it's hard to. But it's hard because everybody does an Owen impression,
Sure.
and I'm not sure. I should be good at it. We're both from Texas, and I spend a ton of time with them. But I'm trying to think. How's it going, amigo? He's great.
Yeah. Well, Woody, thank you so much for coming into KRUI. Really appreciate it. DITV and the TAB are also here. So really, thank you so much for coming and doing this interview. Lost in London was a great film. Is there any other plugs you want to give?
Just it's great to be here. I've really enjoyed it. I'll be back here to Iowa City. I can guarantee it.
Wonderful.
Maybe springtime.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Woody. This is KRUI 89.7. Sports is next. Thank you guys so much for listening.